Today, I want to talk about a mindset that changes everything. It's not just a strategy, it's a way of life. It's the mentality of total commitment, of going all in without hesitation. It's called burn the ships. Back in 1519, Hernan Cortez landed on the shores of Mexico with a small army. His mission, conquer the Aztec Empire. The odds were against him. His men were afraid. They looked back toward the sea, toward safety. And that's when Cortez did something radical. He ordered them to burn the ships. Literally, no retreat, no going back. The only way out was forward through victory. Now, we're not storming ancient cities today, but we are fighting our own battles. In business, in personal goals, in life, we all face moments where the fear of failure tempts us to turn around, to go back, to play it safe. And that's exactly when we need to burn our own ships. Because when you leave yourself a way out, you give yourself permission to quit. But when you remove the backup plan, when you shut the door on maybe, you ignite a different kind of fire. You become resourceful, you get creative, you adapt, evolve, and fight harder because there is no other choice. That's where breakthroughs happen. That's where growth lives. And that's when you start doing the impossible. This isn't about being reckless. It's not about diving in blind. It's about committing with intention. It's about saying, I've done the work, I believe in this, and I'm not turning back. Too many people hedge their bets, holding on to the comfort of safety nets. But comfort never built empires. Safety never changed the world. So ask yourself, what's holding you back? What ship are you still clinging to? Is it fear, doubt, a fallback plan you know you'll run to when things get tough? Burn it. When you do, you'll unlock a level of determination you didn't even know existed. You'll stop negotiating with failure. You'll stop hesitating, and you'll move like someone who's already decided the outcome. Victory favors the committed, the bold, the ones who don't give themselves the option to fail. Burn the ships. Leave no option but victory. There comes a point in every pursuit where the question arises, are you simply interested? Or are you truly committed? Because true success doesn't come from half measures, from dipping your toes in the water, or from saying you'll try. It comes from total, all in, no turning back commitment. That kind of commitment drives progress. It pushes you through walls and keeps you moving when everything inside you says to quit. The idea of burn the ships captures that exact spirit. In 1519, Hernan Cortez landed in Mexico with a mission to conquer the Aztec Empire. When his men expressed fear and the desire to retreat, he ordered the ships to be burned. With their only escape route destroyed, the message was clear: succeed or perish, no turning back. That singular moment redefined the mindset of his army. With no way out, they poured their energy, courage, and focus into the only direction left: forward. This same philosophy applies to us today in the modern world of business, relationships, personal goals, and growth. Most people want results. They want success, transformation, freedom, but they don't commit. They keep a backup plan. They stay in the safety zone. They tell themselves, if it doesn't work out, I can always go back. And that's the problem. When you give yourself an escape route, you lower your intensity, you divide your energy, you delay your own potential. Total commitment eliminates that. It channels your full attention, your creativity, and your resilience into the one outcome that matters. You stop wasting time doubting, questioning, or negotiating with failure. You show up differently. You move with urgency, with purpose, and with belief. That's what separates high achievers from average performers, the level of commitment behind the action. You can see this mindset in world-class athletes, performers, and entrepreneurs. Kobe Bryant didn't just like basketball. He was obsessed. He was in the gym before sunrise, long after practice ended, studying every angle, every move. His commitment created greatness, not just talent. Elon Musk took the money from PayPal and instead of playing it safe, invested nearly everything he had into Tesla and SpaceX, both high-risk ventures that nearly failed. He burned the financial ships. There was no slow lane. It was all or nothing. And that intensity turned the impossible into innovation. But it's not just for icons and billionaires. That same fire is available to anyone who dares to choose it. The parrot chasing a dream on the side, the student grinding toward a scholarship, the artist pouring their soul into their work despite the odds. When you fully commit, you unlock something deeper: resourcefulness, grit, and clarity. You stop waiting for the right time and you start making time. You stop hoping it'll work and start ensuring it does. People often think they need motivation to stay committed, but in truth, it's the other way around. Commitment creates momentum, which builds motivation, but it only happens when you remove the if from your vocabulary and replace it with when. That decision, that burning of the ships, isn't reckless, it's strategic. It comes after you've done the thinking, after you've counted the cost, and once you've decided this is the hill you're willing to climb. When you go all in, even failure becomes fuel. You stop fearing it because you've accepted it as part of the process. That's a powerful place to operate from, where nothing scares you because you're already fully invested. Your comfort zone shrinks, your capacity grows. You begin to move like someone who's already succeeded because mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you've already crossed the threshold. Commitment in this form isn't just about time or effort. It's an identity shift. You stop trying to be the thing and you become it. And when your actions and identity align, your results follow. You start getting opportunities you once only dreamed about because now you're showing up like someone who belongs in those rooms. The universe responds to clarity and conviction. When you move like you have no other option, doors open, people take notice, energy gathers behind you. And yes, it's scary to burn the ships. It's vulnerable. It means letting go of the comfortable, the predictable, the safe. But safety is a silent killer of potential. You can't grow and stay comfortable at the same time. Playing it safe might keep you from failing, but it also keeps you from winning. And the longer you delay full commitment, the longer you delay your breakthrough. So ask yourself honestly, are you holding on to a ship, a backup plan, a mental escape route? Is there a part of you that's still only half in, waiting to see how things go before you really commit? If so, now is the time to let go. Set it on fire, burn the doubt, burn the indecision, burn the maybe. Decide that there is no turning back, not because it sounds cool, but because success demands it, because growth requires it, because the life you want is waiting on the other side of that commitment. That's how change happens. That's how legends are made, one bold decision at a time. So don't just step forward with no way back. That's how you win. Burning the ships means cutting off every escape route, every backup plan, and every convenient excuse that allows you to quit when things get uncomfortable. It's about making your goal the only option. No alternatives, no distractions, no soft landings. In today's world, we've been conditioned to keep a plan B. It feels smart, strategic, even responsible. We're told don't put all your eggs in one basket or always have a safety net. And in some scenarios, that advice makes sense. But when it comes to chasing greatness, true, bold, transformational goals, Plan B is often the very thing that weakens your pursuit of Plan A. Because as long as you believe you can turn around, you'll never push as hard as you're capable of. You'll always leave a little in the tank. The truth is, you can't fully chase a dream while also preparing to fall back. One of the reasons most people never reach the life they envision is because they don't fully commit to it. They mentally bookmark a backup plan. They say, if this doesn't work, I'll just do that. But that little thought, that little safety net creates a ceiling. It limits your urgency. It kills your hunger. Because if failure is comfortable, you'll settle for it. But if failure is unacceptable, if there's no soft place to land, you'll fight harder. You'll stretch. You'll figure things out. Because you have to. Burning the ships means building a mindset where there is no maybe. It's a declaration that says, this is what I'm doing, this is who I am, this is where I'm going, and I'm not looking back. You don't try to succeed, you succeed, or you learn and adapt until you do. The best creators, leaders, and entrepreneurs in the world have this embedded in their DNA. They didn't just dream, they committed. They didn't prepare to quit, they prepared to conquer. Take Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. She poured her entire savings, $5,000, 0 cents, into her idea. Even when every major manufacturer turned her down, there was no fallback plan. She was working a day job selling fax machines, but she didn't say, I'll keep this just in case. She cut the cord. She went all in, and because she had no plan B, she put her entire being into making plan A work. She became a billionaire. That's the power of removing the exit door. Because here's what most people don't realize. Plan B often becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you'll need it, you will. You'll unconsciously drift toward it. You'll rationalize mediocrity by saying, well, at least I have something to fall back on. But success isn't built on fallback plans. It's built on the edge. It's built when you're slightly terrified, when you're unsure of how you'll make it, but you decide you're going to anyway. This isn't about being reckless. It's about deciding after thoughtful planning that your goal is worth everything and then acting like it. It's about believing in yourself so deeply that you don't give doubt a place to live. When you remove plan B, you leave yourself no choice but to solve the problem. And when there's no way out, your brain gets creative, your energy becomes focused, you find new levels of discipline, hustle, and drive because survival instincts kick in. It's in that pressure cooker where comfort is gone and everything is on the line that some of the greatest breakthroughs happen. Because you either figure it out or you don't eat. You either adapt or you get left behind. But most of the time, you do figure it out because when you remove your safety net, you stop waiting for someone else to save you and you start saving yourself. We all have our own ships. They're not always obvious. Sometimes they're relationships, identities, or habits we've outgrown but are too afraid to release. Sometimes it's a job that pays the bills but kills the dream. Burning the ships means you cut ties with what no longer aligns with where you're going. You stop playing both sides. You stop sitting on the fence. You stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what will it take to win? That shift in mindset is everything. It's not a casual decision. It's a transformation. It's the moment you start being interested in your dream and start being committed to it. Of course, burning the ships isn't comfortable. That's why most people never do it. It's scary. It's vulnerable. It exposes you to risk and removes the illusion of control. But that's exactly why it works, because greatness lives outside of comfort. And as long as you have a way to quit, you will always be tempted to use it when the pressure builds. But when you remove the option to quit, when you torch the lifeboat, you tap into a deeper part of yourself, a part that's been waiting for you to stop hesitating, a part that's fierce, focused, and fully alive. So if you've been holding on to a plan B, it's time to ask yourself a hard question. Is that backup plan protecting you, or is it preventing you from going all in? Are you using it as a cushion or as a crutch? The truth is, you can't step into your future while clinging to your past. You have to choose. You have to let go of what's safe and step into what's possible. Burn the ships. Let the smoke signal to your soul that there's no turning back. This is your path. This is your mission. This is your moment. And you're all in. Fear and comfort, two of the most seductive forces in human nature, are the biggest barriers between you and the life you want. Not lack of talent, not lack of opportunity, not even failure. It's fear of what might happen and the false safety of staying where you are. These two forces often work in quiet, subtle ways. Fear whispers, what if you're not good enough? While comfort adds, but you're doing okay as you are, why take the risk? Together they create the perfect trap, a trap that looks like stability but is really stagnation. And most people live their entire lives in that trap, confusing comfort with peace and mistaking fear for caution. But make no mistake, fear is not there to protect your dreams. It's there to paralyze them. It keeps you from raising your hand, from speaking your truth, from starting the thing you know you're meant to do. And comfort, it's the cozy blanket that convinces you to stay asleep when you should be waking up. It's the warm corner of good enough that keeps you from reaching great. And the more you indulge in comfort, the more resistant you become to the discomfort that real growth demands. The human brain is wired for survival, not success. It's built to avoid pain and seek security. But success often lives in the exact opposite direction, in discomfort, in risk, in the unknown. So if you let fear and comfort run the show, they'll convince you to stay small. They'll have you talking yourself out of opportunities, procrastinating on your goals, and rationalizing mediocrity. You'll call it being practical or waiting for the right time, but really, it's fear wearing a disguise. And the tragedy is most people don't even realize it's happening. And they think they're making logical decisions when in reality they're being driven by fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of loss. But let's be real, you cannot grow without facing fear. You cannot evolve while staying comfortable. Everything you want is on the other side of discomfort. And every person you admire, every success story you've ever heard, only exists because someone decided to feel the fear and do it anyway. Look at any high performer, any trailblazer, and you'll see the same pattern. They felt fear, they had doubts, but they acted anyway. Why? Because they knew fear was a signal not to stop, but to move forward with intention. They understood that discomfort wasn't a reason to quit, but a sign they were on the edge of something meaningful, because comfort zones are tiny, and when you stay inside one, your world shrinks, your dreams get smaller, your belief in yourself weakens. But when you step out, when you start doing things that make your heart race, you expand, your mindset shifts, your resilience grows. You start seeing what you're capable of, and it changes everything. It's important to understand fear never fully goes away, and that's okay. The goal isn't to eliminate fear. It's to master your relationship with it. Fear is simply information. It's your body saying, this matters. It's your mind pointing toward potential growth. So don't run from it. Learn to read it. Ask, what am I actually afraid of, and what would happen if I did this anyway? Because more often than not, the fear isn't based in truth. It's based in a worst case scenario your brain made up to keep you safe. And comfort, it's not your friend, even though it pretends to be. Comfort is where dreams go to die. Comfort is the quiet killer of ambition. You think you're okay because nothing is wrong, but nothing is right either. You're surviving, not thriving. You're living by default, not by design. And the scariest part, you can waste years, even decades in that space without realizing what you've missed. Burning the ships is about leaving no path to comfort behind, is about forcing yourself to step away from what's familiar and into what's possible. It's about choosing growth over ease every single time. When you eliminate the easy way out, you no longer have the luxury of clinging to fear. You have no choice but to rise. And it's in that space when you're uncomfortable, unsure, but still moving that the magic happens. That's where confidence is built, not by thinking about doing something, but by doing it in spite of the fear. That's where transformation lives, because every time you challenge fear, every time you leave comfort behind, you rewire your mind. You teach yourself, I can handle this. I'm stronger than I thought. I didn't die. In fact, I just leveled up. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most alive, most accomplished, most proud. Were those moments born in comfort? Probably not. They likely came after a challenge, a risk, a stretch beyond what you believed was possible. And yet we still fall for the lie that comfort equals happiness. But long-term comfort often leads to long-term regret. The kind of regret that says, I could have done more, I could have been more. That kind of regret doesn't come from failure. It comes from not trying. So don't let fear be the boss. Don't let comfort hold the pen when you're writing the story of your life. Burn the ships that anchor you to your fears. Burn the habits, the excuses, the stories that keep you small. Step boldly into the discomfort. That's where your edge is. That's where your greatness waits. Because here's the truth. You were not made for mediocrity. You were built for more. But you'll never touch it if you keep waiting until you feel ready. You'll never access it if you keep turning back the moment things get uncomfortable. So stand up to your fear, embrace the discomfort, and when the old voices try to pull you back into the familiar, remind yourself, comfort is not the goal, growth is, impact is, freedom is. And none of those things live in the safety zone. Your dreams are worth the stretch. Your purpose is worth the pressure. Burn the ships. Let fear burn with them and walk forward uncomfortable, yes, but absolutely unstoppable. Real growth is not an accident, it's a choice, a hard one. And it never happens inside the safety and stillness of your comfort zone. Growth begins the moment you decide to stretch beyond what feels easy, predictable, or familiar. It starts when you trade comfort for courage, safety for struggle, and ease for evolution. And make no mistake, growth is not comfortable. It's not glamorous. It's raw, humbling, and often lonely, but it's also powerful. It's the path where you meet the strongest, most capable version of yourself, the one who's been buried under fear, doubt, and routine. The problem is, most people spend their lives avoiding discomfort, not realizing they're also avoiding growth. They want transformation without tension, progress without pressure, and success without sacrifice. But you don't get strong without resistance. You don't get wise without failure. You don't get better by staying the same. Growth demands challenge. It demands risk. It demands that you become someone new. And that becoming, it doesn't happen when you're cozy. It happens when you're stretched, tested, and pushed to your edge. Think about it. When have you grown the most in your life? Was it during peaceful, easy times? Or during the moments you were forced to adapt, fight, rise, or change? Growth usually doesn't feel like growth when you're in it. It feels like struggle. It feels like, why is this happening? It feels like chaos, frustration, and doubt. But later, when you look back, you realize that was the season that shaped you. That was when you developed resilience, character, discipline, vision. That was when you leveled up. But you only got there because you had the courage to stay in the discomfort long enough for it to transform you. We live in a world that worships comfort. Fast food, quick wins, instant gratification, endless entertainment. It's all designed to keep us soft, numb, and safe. But the trade-off is huge. The more you seek comfort, the more you sacrifice your potential. The more you avoid struggle, the more you delay growth, because greatness is never found in the easy path. It's found in the hard reps, the tough choices, the uncomfortable conversations, and the relentless pursuit of more, even when it hurts. Burning the ships is a declaration that says, I am done settling for comfort. I am choosing growth, even if it costs me ease, even if it costs me approval, even if it means failing forward a few times along the way, because staying the same is a slow death. It's a quiet erosion of your dreams, your confidence, and your fire. You weren't made to live on repeat. You weren't born to fit inside the same routine, the same limitations, the same version of yourself for decades. You were made to evolve, but evolution requires friction. It requires challenge. And most of all, it requires action. Growth is not something you think your way into. It's something you move into. You step into it. You say yes to it before you feel ready. And in that leap, something shifts. You prove to yourself that you can do hard things. And that proof becomes momentum. Momentum becomes belief. Belief becomes transformation. The comfort zone is tricky because it's deceptive. It doesn't feel dangerous. It feels fine. It's the job that's not horrible, but not fulfilling either. It's the relationship that's okay, but not deeply aligned. It's the habits that don't hurt you, but don't grow you. It's the life that doesn't challenge you, but also doesn't light you up. And the longer you stay there, the harder it is to leave. Because your brain starts to normalize mediocrity. You convince yourself it's not that bad, but that's how dreams die. Not with some dramatic explosion, but slowly, through the quiet acceptance of just enough. That's why you have to interrupt it. You have to burn the ships behind you so you don't drift back to fine. Because fine is the enemy of phenomenal, and comfortable is the graveyard of greatness. When you make the decision to leave your comfort zone for good, you create the conditions for transformation. You put yourself in a position where you're required to learn, to hustle, to evolve. And here's the beautiful part. Discomfort is temporary, but growth is permanent. The fear you feel when you step outside the comfort zone, it fades. But the strength you gain from doing it anyway, that stays with you. Every time you push yourself a little further, That zone expands. What was once terrifying becomes familiar. What once seemed impossible becomes part of your new normal. That's how you grow. One uncomfortable step at a time. You don't leap from where you are to where you want to be in one move. You stretch, you bend, you stumble, but you keep moving forward. And with every step, you become more of who you were meant to be. More confident, more capable, more clear. You have to understand staying safe isn't neutral, it's a decision to plateau, a decision to stay stuck, a decision to live below your potential. And while discomfort may feel like risk, the real risk is staying the same. The real risk is waking up in 5, 10, or 20 years realizing you let fear make your choices, that you chose comfort over calling, that you spent your life avoiding the pain of growth only to end up with the pain of regret. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can choose differently. You can choose courage. You can choose to step into the unknown again and again until that space becomes home. You can train your mind to seek challenge, to crave progress, to become addicted to growth. And once that shift happens, everything changes. You start welcoming discomfort as a sign you're on the right path. You start saying yes to opportunities that scare you because you know they'll grow you. You stop asking, is this easy? And start asking, is this worth it? So if you feel the tension right now, good. That means you're on the edge of something. That means the version of you who's ready to rise is knocking. Don't numb it. Don't run from it. Lean into it. Trust it. Let it shape you. Burn the ships that tether you to comfort, to the old you, to the small life. Step out. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it because real growth only happens outside the comfort zone. And you, my friend, were made to grow. When you burn the ships, something profound happens, not just externally, but deep within you. You build an unshakable mindset, a level of inner steel that no storm, no setback, no criticism can break. This isn't just about taking away your escape routes. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need them. The kind of person who decides no matter what happens, I'm not turning back. I'm not quitting. I'm not waiting for permission to go all in on myself. Because the moment you remove the option to retreat, your mind is forced to evolve. You stop hoping things will work out and start making sure they do. You begin to think differently, act differently, respond differently. Pressure no longer paralyzes you, it sharpens you. Challenges stop being threats and start becoming fuel. You develop mental toughness, not because you read a quote about it, but because you live it every day. When the only way out is through, you learn to dig deeper, think clearer, and keep showing up, even when it's hard, even when it's scary, even when there's no guarantee of success yet. An unshakable mindset doesn't just appear overnight. It's forged through repeated decisions to stay the course. Every time you silence the inner voice that says go back and instead whisper keep going, you lay another brick in the foundation of your mental fortitude, and that kind of mindset, resilient, gritty, focused, is what separates the ones who wish from the ones who win. Because let's be honest, life is not a highlight reel. It's messy, it's unpredictable, it will test you, break your plans, throw curveballs at your best intentions. The only thing you truly control is your response. That's where mindset becomes everything. When the world shakes, you stay centered. When people doubt you, you double down. When you fail, and you will fail, you don't crumble. You learn, you rise, you refine. That's what it means to be unshakable. And you can't develop that mindset if you're constantly hedging your bets or cushioning your falls. Burning the ships is what forces you to grow into that strength, to become someone who trusts their ability to figure it out, no matter the circumstances. Once your mindset is solid, success becomes inevitable because nothing can stop a person who refuses to quit. You stop reacting to problems like they're permanent. You stop seeking approval to chase your goals. You stop worrying if it'll work and start making it work. That shift changes your entire energy. People feel it. You move with purpose. You speak with clarity. You stop entertaining small talk, small thinking, and small goals. You elevate. Not because you're fearless, but because you've faced your fears enough times to realize they hold no real power over you anymore. That's what burning the ships does. It puts you in enough high-pressure situations that fear becomes familiar. And when fear becomes familiar, it becomes manageable. You stop being controlled by what might go wrong, and you start focusing on what needs to go right. And then you make that happen. This mindset, this inner commitment, it leaks into every area of your life. You hold yourself to higher standards. You stop making excuses. You stop blaming circumstances or other people for your lack of results. You take ownership. You look in the mirror and say, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. That level of responsibility is rare. Most people never get there. But the ones who do, they become unstoppable. Not because they never face failure, but because failure doesn't define them. Because they've trained themselves to keep going. They don't just survive adversity. They rise through it. They find the lesson. They find the advantage. They find the next step, no matter what. It's important to understand this isn't about arrogance. It's not about pretending you don't need help or acting like you always have the answers. It's about building the confidence that says, even if I don't know how yet, I will figure it out. That's real confidence. Not the kind that's loud and flashy, but the kind that's quiet, steady, and earned. Confidence built on commitment, on action, on self-trust. And that kind of confidence only comes when you've removed the option to quit, when you've stopped giving yourself an easy way out, when you've declared that you will go all the way or die trying. Burning the ships builds grit. And grit is more valuable than talent. It's more consistent than luck. It's what carries you through the boring days, the hard weeks, the lonely seasons. It's what keeps you focused when no one's clapping yet. And it's what allows you to keep believing when results take longer than expected. Because make no mistake, results will take time. You'll be tested. You'll doubt. You'll want to turn back. And if you haven't built the mindset for that, you'll break. But if you have, you'll bend, but you won't snap. You'll pivot, but you won't quit. You'll keep moving forward, and eventually that forward motion becomes unstoppable momentum. The real prize of burning the ships isn't just what you achieve, it's who you become. A version of yourself that no longer negotiates with fear, that no longer plays small to make others comfortable, that no longer second guesses your path every time the road gets rocky. You become someone who can handle pressure, who can self-motivate, who doesn't need outside validation to stay committed. You become the kind of person people look to for strength, not because you're loud, but because you're rooted, grounded, solid. That's the power of an unshakable mindset. It doesn't make life easier, but it makes you stronger than whatever life throws at you. And that mindset, it starts with one bold move. Burn the ships, close the back door, eliminate the exit plan. Tell yourself, I am in this fully. I will make this work. I will not turn back. And from that moment forward, let your actions reflect that belief. Build the habits, embrace the challenges, choose discipline over doubt, persistence over panic, and watch what happens. Because when your mindset is right, everything else falls into place. Obstacles become stepping stones, delays become lessons, failure becomes feedback, and success becomes a matter of when, not if. Victory doesn't belong to the lucky, the talented, or even the smartest. It belongs to the decided. The ones who plant their flag, draw the line in the sand, and say, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, and I will not stop until it's done. The truth is, the world is full of people who want to win, but very few who actually decide to. Most people spend their lives in limbo, trapped between desire and indecision. They want the dream, but they haven't chosen the path. They dabble, they delay, they hope, but they don't decide. And without a decision, without that internal shift from I'll try to I will, nothing moves, nothing sticks, nothing lasts. Victory doesn't respond to potential, it responds to certainty. You have to be all in, not halfway, not kind of, not let's see how this goes. You have to decide, and that decision, when made with full conviction, carries more power than any circumstance, challenge, or fear you'll face along the way. People often confuse interest with commitment. They say things like, I want to lose weight, I want to build a business, I want to change my life. But wanting something doesn't change anything. Deciding does, because a decision doesn't leave room for excuses. It cuts through the noise. It silences the inner debate. When you truly decide, you stop negotiating with yourself. You don't need motivation every day because you've already set the course. There's no question of whether or not you'll show up. You just do. You move from hesitation to execution. You take action like someone who already sees the finish line. That's the difference between people who talk and people who win. One group hopes, the other acts. And all it takes to cross that line is a single decision backed by relentless follow-through. When you burn the ships, you don't just commit to the goal, you become the kind of person who wins. You start operating with clarity, with purpose, with grit. There's no looking back, no backup plan, no wavering. You train your brain to think like a winner, to look for solutions instead of excuses, to keep moving no matter the obstacle. That's the power of decision. It rewires your identity. It tells your subconscious, this is who we are now, this is what we do, and your actions begin to align. The more you act like a winner, the more you become one. People will start to notice. You'll carry yourself differently. You'll speak with more authority. You'll make decisions faster because your path is clear. And that momentum becomes magnetic. It pulls in opportunities, resources, and people who align with your mission, not because of luck, but because of focus. Victory belongs to those who stop waiting for the perfect time, waiting for the fear to go away, waiting for someone to believe in them. But here's the truth. Waiting is just another form of hiding. It's disguised procrastination, and it robs you of your power. Because there is no perfect time. There is no guaranteed outcome. There is only the moment you finally say enough. Enough stalling, enough doubting, enough playing small. The moment you decide is the moment your future starts taking shape. Not someday, not when it's easy, now. The decided don't wait, they create. They step into uncertainty and trust themselves to figure it out. They understand that commitment is the seed, and every result they want grows from that soil. The moment you truly commit, life starts responding differently. You walk through the world with more certainty, and the world reflects that back. The journey won't be smooth. Deciding doesn't make things easier, it makes them clearer. You'll still get tested, you'll still have moments of doubt, failure, frustration. But when you've truly decided, none of that deters you. The bumps become part of the process, not reasons to quit. You stop interpreting failure as a verdict and start seeing it as data. You adjust, improve, and keep moving. That's what the decided do. They don't stop until they reach the goal or go down swinging. And because they stay the course longer than anyone else, they're the ones who win. Not because they had more resources, not because the stars aligned, but because they refuse to give themselves an out. There's something magnetic about unwavering conviction. When someone has truly decided, you can feel it. It's in the way they speak, the way they show up, the way they handle pressure. They're not easily rattled because their direction is locked in. Even if they don't have every answer yet, they're moving with purpose. That kind of energy creates its own gravity. It attracts support, inspires others, and makes obstacles seem smaller. People want to follow the decided. People want to invest in the decided because there's a confidence there that can't be faked. And that confidence is built, not born. It's built in the moments you choose to act despite fear. It's built when you honor your word to yourself. It's built when you keep showing up after every setback, reminding the world and yourself that you are not done. The beautiful thing is you don't need to wait for permission to become that person. You don't need more time, more money, more clarity, more anything. You need a decision. A line in the sand moment where you stop entertaining plan B, where you stop apologizing for your ambition, where you stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You just decide. You decide that you're going to be the one who sees it through, the one who beats the odds, the one who rewrites the story. And that decision, when it's real, shifts everything. It changes your relationship with fear, with failure, with success. It takes you from wishing to winning, not overnight, but eventually, inevitably. So if you're still on the fence, still debating, still dipping your toes in the water, understand this. The water will always feel cold until you jump. The door to your next level only opens when you step up to it with full conviction. Victory doesn't belong to those who wait. It belongs to those who decide fully, finally, and without excuse. The moment you do, you become unstoppable. Not because the path gets easier, but because you get stronger. Because you finally stop drifting and start driving. And that alone puts you in a category most people will never reach. Burn the ships, make the decision, claim the victory that's already waiting for the one bold enough to say, "It's mine."